Hello and welcome back. We're continuing our discussion of the crucifixion today, the message of the crucifixion. And here, Jesus makes it very explicit. We're in chapter 6, section 1 of the text, the message of the crucifixion. Teach only love, for that is what you are. This is the italicized portion. This is the clear meaning of the crucifixion. Teach only love, for that is what you are. We've seen a couple of things here. One is that we're always teaching, whether we hold ourselves out as a teacher or an instructor in the world or not. You don't have to do what I'm doing right now in broadcasting over the internet to a global audience. That may or may not be what you do, but we're always teaching. We're always interacting with people. Even if we think we're running off to our room, turning off the light, pulling the blinds, and hiding from the world, we're still interacting with everyone. How can we be so sure? Well, we're one. There is no separate other that we interact with. So we're always with each other. So what are you teaching? Are you teaching love, that you are one with God, one with your Creator, who is love? Are you teaching this and only this? Or are you teaching that we're all separate bodies that can and sometimes should attack and lash out at one another, beat each other silly, destroy one another's bodies, crucify each other? What are we teaching? What are you teaching? It's a valuable question. And here we have the message of this extraordinary and extreme, to be sure, teaching example of the crucifixion, to teach only love, for that is what you are. This is a message of peace. It's a message that condemnation in any form is impossible. It's a message that who you are as the Son of God cannot be persecuted, as we've seen. You cannot be assailed. Bodies can certainly destroy other bodies, but a body can't destroy the Son of God. A body can't destroy love, which is totally abstract. We try to make sense of it in the world by compartmentalizing it and defining certain types of love. Love simply is. It's abstract. God, love, same. God simply is. Only God is. There is no separate other to attack. Who you are cannot be assailed. So the crucifixion, when seen in this light, becomes a message of love and peace. The most outrageous assault as viewed by the ego, an execution, a brutal execution, does not justify our anger and rage. In truth, it's inconsequential. The beauty here is this is a teaching example for us to learn from, and we do not have to repeat this. So we don't have to go through this in our lives. We're tempted to misperceive as it is. We're invited to learn this lesson. to teach only love, for that is what we are. Jesus calls for teachers, not martyrs. Paragraph 16, he calls for teachers. And by the way, there is no sin. The Son of God is not a sinner. You are not a miserable sinner. Because there is only perfect oneness, that means that there is no separation of any kind. So nobody can transgress anyone else. There is no one else. There's no one else to offend. God has no ego to be offended. You cannot sin. There is no sin. Now, you, of course, do not have to believe that, which is completely up to you. The genius of A Course in Miracles is that it is a self-study curriculum. So you take what you want to take at a given time. In other words, you take what you're willing to take at a given time. So perhaps today is the day where this message hits home for you that I am not a sinner. You are not a sinner. God does not look to punish you. Perfect love does not punish. It extends only itself. Love does not extend hatred. Love is love. It's not hatred. It's not blame. It's not condemnation. Those things are impossible. What we're doing here on the spiritual path is we're waking up to this. And the crucifixion, when properly seen, is a powerful, powerful lesson that Jesus presents to us and invites us to learn. He knew, quite naturally, that this message would be misunderstood. Of course he did. And he actually says this here in this passage of the text, that he knew that the apostles were going to misperceive the crucifixion. He knew they were going to misconstrue its message because they still had guilt in their minds. And he told them specifically that there are many things they would understand later, like right now, when they had set their egos aside enough to understand, when they were ready to accept, when they were ready to accept God's plan for salvation, for example, when they were ready to fully listen to the Holy Spirit, when they were ready to fully listen to their inner teacher. So 2,000 years ago, there was much that they would understand later, including in paragraph 15, some things that have been attributed to Jesus that he could not possibly have meant, and he tells us this. First of all, bringing both peace and a sword. Leave the sword at home. He couldn't have told the apostles that he comes with both peace and a sword. Those two are completely antithetical. No need for the sword. He couldn't have said that, so he says, yeah, couldn't have meant that. Nor could he have ever told Judas, betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss, if he believed in betrayal, which he didn't. There is no sin. Jesus is very explicit here that he calls for teachers, not martyrs. Not martyrs. Are you a martyr? Only you can answer that. And we've all spent some time in our lives playing the victim card. It's why it's so important in the workbook for students that one of the lessons is, I am not a victim of the world I see. And you're not. Jesus calls for teachers. Teach only love, for that is what you are. This is how we wake up. We share the Holy Spirit with our brother. We extend love. It's who we are. It's who our brother is. We share the Holy Spirit with our brother. We extend love. We truly forgive. And by our brother's recognition of themselves, we know that that's us too. We keep this in our mind by giving it away, by sharing, by extending. To give and to receive are one in truth. Who are you giving love to? Yourself. There's only oneness. It appears to be another person, but it's not really another person. There is no other. In fact, there is no person, because who we are is not a physical body. So here in the world, where this is how it appears, we forgive the image on our screen. We forgive our brother. And we rinse, repeat. We do it again, under the guidance, all of it, of our inner teacher, who will tell us what to do, what to say, what to think in certain situations, and to whom. Because as we discover, it looks differently every time. Because each situation appears to be different, but that's only the outward appearance. The content of the situation is the same, as is our message. Teach only love, for that is what we are. So the crucifixion is not about Jesus's body. Of course, the world has made it all about that. Of course, religious iconography shows a miserable, sorrowful looking Jesus nailed to the cross, bleeding. Of course, they've made it about his body. That tasteless wafer, that communion representing his body. You're not a body. Really. This is a different thought system. A Course in Miracles is 180 degrees different than how almost all of us have been raised and conditioned here in the world. We're turning our thought system completely around. We're changing our mind. And a part of us knows deep down that everything that we're learning here with this course is true. So how do we show that to ourselves? Forgive. Forgive the Son of God. Put this course into practical action. It's not enough to simply understand the ideas intellectually. Sure, that has some value. It does. But that's not enough. We learn by putting it into practical application, by doing your forgiveness homework, so to speak. By recognizing the opportunities that you have every day to forgive the Son of God and doing it. Your experience proves that the teachings are true. You prove it to yourself. Our experience in forgiving, truly forgiving, shows us that this material is true. So deep down, we all know this. And yes, along the way, we throw up tremendous resistance to the truth. We all have tremendous resistance to the truth. Expect it on the path. Expect it. This is why that we always emphasize our relationship with our inner teacher. Because your inner teacher will show you what to do. If you stand aside and allow him to. Very, very powerful. So when in doubt, ask. For sure. All right. So very, very deep and powerful message here. And it's so important that we take a detailed and longer look at a passage such as this, because the crucifixion has been grossly misunderstood in the world, hasn't it? That's not what Jesus meant to say, hey, I'm a body. They killed my body, so get back at these bastards. Yeah, I sacrificed myself for your sin, sinner. No, he did not mean that. There is no sin. And the idea of sacrifice is completely useless. It's not what he meant. And there's a part of all of us that knows this. Now, if you find yourself heavily resistant to this, not a problem, right? Question everything. Certainly question what appears to come out of this image's mouth. This is not coming out of this image's mouth. This is your inner teacher speaking to you. So if this causes you to question the very foundations of everything that you now believe, excellent. That's what we want. Really, really. Questioning is great. It's essential on the path, isn't it? So skepticism, yeah, I personally welcome it. As long as you don't stop at questioning the image on your screen, as long as you don't stop at questioning Jesus or the Holy Spirit or A Course in Miracles or any other spiritual book, podcast, tradition, whatever, keep going. Question the foundations of everything you now believe. Yes, nothing more than that, and certainly nothing less. All right. So sometimes this practical, what do you do when you experience tremendous ego resistance? Sometimes this practical discussion just kind of comes up. Because it comes up for all of us every day, doesn't it? We're all tempted from time to time to judge, to cling, and to lash out in hatred. We're tempted to make this world real. And it's entirely possible, by the way, to function in the world while not acknowledging its reality in any way. It's a dream. You know what else is a dream? That too. It's a communication device. Give it over to your inner teacher and let your inner teacher direct its use. Yeah, do that. It's very powerful. All right. So if you have particular questions or comments, I certainly welcome them here. So please feel free to leave them. The subscription button is right here. That's the red arrow. And I would love to have you join me. Thank you so much for all of the comments, questions, and views, and for subscribing to this channel. But more than any of that, thank you for your commitment and dedication to practice. That is the highest, best offering of which any of us is ever capable. All right. I will talk to you soon.